order, open session reconvene at 6:01. So just a reminder for everybody to be advised that recording might be made at the direction, or is being made at the direction of the board, and that the recording may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. 4.2, report of actions taken in closed session. There were no actions taken in closed session today. And then we were stuff is cut off. So attendance, roll call vote. President Elkishin here. Clerk Lopez Jones here. Trustee Maxfield here. Trustee Gonzalez here. Trustee Lafayette here. And student representative Gillums. Williams. I practiced even like 2 seconds before. Williams. Okay, great. So everybody can stand. Our district mission statement: we are a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where a rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors to our global society. And at this point, 5.1 is public business from the floor on any non-agendized items. Do we have anything, Paul? Is anybody out there coming with public comment today on non-agendized items? We're just going to test that and then get into the fun stuff. So, and somebody got here just in time. Okay, 6.1 recognitions. So the Board of Trustees recognizes students, employees, or members of the community who have received recognition for academic or athletic achievement, or who have made significant contributions of any kind to the district. So today we have something very exciting, which is recognition of the 7th and 8th grade girls basketball team players for their outstanding season, winning the North Valley League pennant. 7th grade, 10 wins to no losses, and the 8th grade, a 7-3 winning streak. This league has schools larger than ours, and it is the first time we have won both titles. So very exciting. Congratulations. So a couple things. I wanted to give Raul an opportunity to talk a little bit about the teams if he wanted to. A little just something. And then if Shorty wanted to say something, but I was thinking perhaps we could have the girls introduce themselves also, and then we'll take a nice photo.
Hello. There we go. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Just congratulations, girls, on your accomplishments, and also just on always playing with class. Congratulations to Coach Caesar as well for your dedication to the programs, and also you're able to bring the best out of your players. So congratulations all. You make us very proud.
Shorty, you want to come up, and we'll come up to the podium. Why don't you want to just say something real quick about it?
This on? Good evening, guys. Thank you, school board, for doing this. I think it's great. Acknowledging the girls that what a great year they had. I'm really proud of my girls. I think it's the first time in school history that both teams won league. It's always been one team. I just want to let you guys know that it's really hard to go undefeated, 12-0, especially most of the schools that we played are bigger than us. And I don't think we ever beaten Florida, and we beat them twice, and Hillsborough too. But enough of all this. But I want to congratulate the girls. Thank you for working so hard and believing in my system. And I know sometimes I got on you guys pretty hard, but you guys know how I am. It's all love. So ladies, I'm so proud of you girls, and the sky's the limit for you young ladies. And I know it's hard carrying a 3.0. That's even the hardest thing. And when you guys should be home, stay in the gym and shit around for another 2 hours. So that's not my fault. That's their fault. Anyways, thank you. And here's a pin. We'd love to take a picture if that's possible. Yeah, you know what? They could. I'm horrible with names. I don't want to read.
Yeah.
So, ladies, you guys want to come up and say your name?
Yes.
And your grade, please. Hey, can we take pictures?
Yeah.
Quick. Okay, thank you. Ladies, Nancy.
Nancy.
Your name and grade.
I'm Nancy Lopez, and I'm in 7th grade.
I'm Haley Williams, and I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Lily Hernandez, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Karen Gable, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Ella Maroon, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Brooke Sanchez, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Carolina Coachilo, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Isabella Colinar, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Rizal Quiñones, and I'm in 7th grade.
I'm Dana Rivera Palacios, and I'm in 8th grade.
I'm Hayden Patel, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Violet Grove, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Fernanda Heredia, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Ella Lindquist, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Priscilla Montoya, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Natalia Barrera, and I'm in 7th grade.
I think that's for everyone. Let's get maybe like half and half on either side.
Seventh and eighth, probably.
Yeah.
It should roll. Just what there's an outlet in the ground. You just have to get it over it. That's okay.
That's all you want.
Just a little. That way I can get everybody.
All right. Squeeze in a little.
Yeah, let's do it like kind of stacking like that.
Stack up in the front a little bit. There you go. Yeah, and so you also
Can I hold it?
There we go. Perfect. All right, here, I'm gonna slide this down.
Smile.
Smile, smile, smile. Let's throw up the number ones. Thank you.
Go, girl.
welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you probably have homework, so don't show up. You're welcome to go if you want.
And there goes Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Aw, that was such a fun crowd. Yeah, now on to more exciting.
Wait, they're saying that you don't like them.
All right, so moving on to 7.1, plan for expenditure of educator effectiveness block grant. I'll give it to Erin to explain.
So this is the second round of funding that our district will have received to specifically support professional development for our staff. The plan has to first be reviewed by the board and then approved at a subsequent meeting. So I'll bring back the plan again at our December meeting. And the one-time funding can be used this year through 2026 to support all certificated employees as well as our paraprofessionals. And because the training needs of our staff can vary greatly in that large span of time, the county office suggested that we just create a very general plan and then we re-examine it every single year so that it meets the current needs of our staff. So we will survey staff to get their input like we do every year, and then this plan will also be included in our LCAP as well. Any questions about it?
All right, so moving on to 7.2, revised report card format for Calistoga Elementary School. Ms. Nicole. Working? Yep. There, little pause before I can start. Good evening, everyone. So the elementary school report cards is quite a big process to undertake when you're doing any changes to it. And just a little bit of history, 5 years ago when I started at Calistoga Elementary School, the vendor that used to do our report cards was being taken into another company, and we were under extreme pressure to go to a new company and to create report cards for our students. It was a really tight turnaround to do so. And once we got those report cards done, we went through them for the next 4 years, and then we were lucky enough to have Alex come on board, who is really very masterful at working at everything in technology. And so one of the areas that she did take over was the report cards, and in working with staff on them during our release days and last year. The report cards broke now. So working through our last year and this year, there's feedback from teachers that the previous report cards had a lot of verbiage on it. They were pretty dense. We also, just as an aside, we're doing them still on Microsoft Word and just crunching a lot of text in there. And so taking a page from other districts, what we've done is that we have reduced the amount of text on the report card, and then we're also integrating a parent-friendly explanation of the standards from the CDE. And so what we're doing actually right now, this week, are parent conferences, and so we are using these updated report cards as the vehicle to start that conversation with our parents in terms of how students are doing. So we are excited about these changes. I think visually it looks much easier to navigate. I think that the attached information for parents when the teacher goes through it with them will be much more comprehensible. right. Anybody else questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Nicole. So 7.3, Napa County Office of Education letter regarding our budget and our LCAP approval.
Well, as you are aware, the state law requires that our county office always approve our LCAP and our budget. And you previously received a letter a month ago from the county office approving the LCAP, but for whatever reason, they had not included approval of the budget. So they have resubmitted the letter to include both of those components, so that's what's brought to you tonight. And all you need to do is just receive it as a
Steve, so nobody has any questions on that? No? Okay. And then moving on to 7.4. So Erin asked us to take a look at the proposed meeting dates for 2022, if we didn't think out that far. And then we basically rolled over the same time periods from this year. So did anybody happen to see any glaring conflicts as of now? No, sporting events on the TV did not negate the school board meeting. All right. Okay.
I looked, but the following Monday is Martin Luther King. I looked.
All right. Okay, then we'll just look at it again next year and basically plan a trip and deal with that. Okay. 7.5 board policies. So we're doing first reading of these 5 board policies, which I do believe are all just changes in law.
That's correct.
Yeah, so nothing new there. So did anybody have any questions reading those over the first time? Okay. Are these going to be in action items this tonight?
No,
Next meeting. Okay, sorry. All right, perfect. And then we roll into the fun stuff, reports. So we'll start with Nicole giving us the elementary school report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that I get through this microphone tonight. So with regard to LCAP rule number 1, ensuring academic excellence for all students, as of last Friday, all of our grade levels and our programs have completed their release days. Release days are really valuable to our educators because it gives them the time and the space to look at student data, to look at the curriculum that they're teaching, to meet with their grade level colleagues, and to really design what we call like an action plan moving forward. And so we go back and we revisit that 3 times a year. And so I'm very grateful to Alex for supporting this with a running agenda. There were times that we thought, oh, we're not going to be able to get the staffing, but we managed to get the staffing for all the release days, so I'm very happy about that. And so with this week right now is our parent conferences, and that falls under both LCAP Rule number 1 and LCAP Rule number 3 of engaging our parents. The purpose of parent conferences and the reason why we hold them this time of year at Calistoga Elementary School is for our teachers to be able to go through the report cards with students so that the parents can understand and interpret the report card. And just as an aside note, because I know I'm jumping to LCAP Rule number 3, it was very exciting to see, and I'm very appreciative of our teachers for this, is that we were able to give flexibility for our families who, if they could not do the Zoom, that we arranged an appointment for them to come in person. It was very exciting to see how many parents came into the office. We had to do some of the protocols with COVID-19, but it was very exciting just to have parents be able to come through the door and go out into the back and go into their students' classrooms. So today was day 1. Last day of parent conferences will be on Wednesday. For LCAP Goal number 2, provide a safe, healthy, and positive school environment. We celebrated our character trait of being safe, and each grade level had an outdoor assembly. What we've been doing with our COVID safety procedures is that we meet out on Berry Field Students each get a chair because we know the grass can be wet out there. And we basically announce our winners and we go over the next character trait that we're going to be focusing on. And so next month actually is going to be December 3rd because we're running out of days in November. But we're looking forward to doing our academic celebration for our students. So, and I think they're excited as well. We're now 1 month into our Student of the Week book giveaway. In our library, we have our book vending machine. And so as of last week, we've had 92 students visiting the vending machine. And again, shout out to Margarita, who really spearheaded this. Also, I want to give a shout out to Lisa Morgan, who really is keeping this process organized. She's keeping it interesting and she's keeping it engaging for the students. And our next parent engagement, we're now on El Capital number 3. Our next parent engagement is on November 19th, 2021 on Berry Field. And the other aspect beyond our parent conferences is that this year we did something different with scheduling our parent conferences. We utilized Parent Square, which was a little more efficient in pushing out those appointments. There were some things we did learn about it in terms of scheduling with translation and things like that, but overall it was pretty positive for all of us using it, and I think next year when we do our schedule again, we'll take those considerations into account so that our parents can get signed up for the day and the language that they need. Thank you.
I was just sitting there thinking I actually missed parent-teacher conferences.
Good evening, everyone. It's my turn now. So for El Capital number 1, ensuring academic excellence for all our students. Last Monday, we had a professional development day that allowed teachers an opportunity to get further acquainted with our MAP test results and the individual student reports. Our goal continues to be using MAP data to guide our instructions, but also we want to bring this information to students so they can take ownership of their own growth as they take the test. In addition, student voice has been a focal point in our professional development this year. We are committed to bringing their voice to our decision-making process, and therefore we're going to be including student representatives when we meet as a leadership team for our staff. We're also going to be including students in that process. And for El Capital number 2, providing a safe, healthy, and positive school environment. Our ASB classes are doing an excellent job creating a positive school community with the many activities they have done and are proposing to do here in the near future. And you will hear more of this information from our student representatives in the report. But also, our fall sports have finished and the regular season, and we still have a few teams that have made it to the postseason. We did have our girls volleyball make it to the postseason, but they lost their first game. Our boys soccer team won their first round playoffs, and they play again this Wednesday at 7 p.m. at Sonoma Academy. And then our boys football team, will play this week in the postseason game. And they play Friday night here at home against Southport. So now it's Southport's turn to make the 3.5-hour drive down. So they will be here at home at 7. And also just, we have had a great turnout at our games. It was really nice to see kind of the town come out to support the teams. And we look forward to a successful winter season of sports, which has already started, and we have our first games Wednesday on that. In El Capital number 3, increased parent engagement and enhanced communication. This month I would like to really shine a spotlight on the work that Monica Garibay is doing as a family liaison to the district. In her short amount of time, she has really established herself well. Already we have parents that come to the office and ask for her. She's really the go-to person in our school community. And I'll also just, she's always available, but she's also just willing to help out, be part of the team. She's been really instrumental in supporting our site with COVID-19 contact tracing. and making numerous phone calls to parents. So she's doing a wonderful job. That's my report for this month.
Thank you. And now, Student Representative Williams.
Following COVID restrictions, we were still allowed to hold our traditional homecoming celebrations, including the Fire Cup game, bonfire, and creating homecoming dance. They were all very successful, including having 130 plus attendees at the dance. We have also begun fundraising in town by distributing out boxes asking for donations. The proceeds are planned to go towards prom. The ASB has been brainstorming a few ways to create a culture community amongst the school with COVID restrictions. It's been hard because due to the rise of cases, our options are limited for financing the community building. But we have recently moved past for a school rally in December, which we're really happy about. Ever since homecoming, the school has felt more united in multiple spirits. The ASB has put something together, but other clubs like the school's K Street Arts community have put up spirit days to create emphasis on anti-bullying towards LGBTQIA+ community. Despite COVID restrictions, some and able brave girls basketball teams have helped finish first in the season and have earned pennants for the school. The football and soccer teams are both winning playoffs as well. We are proud of our athletes for being able to succeed after a year of knockouts.
Good job, good job. Okay, and that then brings us to Chris.
Good evening, everybody. Try this mic.
Oh, Shannon, if you want to go, don't feel like you have to stay. Okay.
Let's see if this mic holds up. Just a quick facilities update. It's been quite a busy year, a little tougher than I expected, and arguably a little bit tougher than last year. It just it seems like it's been nonstop. But with that said, there's some exciting things and some things that I'm excited about that I'd like to just give you some updates on. At the beginning of June, the board approved an agreement with FRC Construction to build out the IT office and the maintenance shop. We didn't have, it wasn't DSA involved, there was no architect. I just made up a drawing and worked with a contractor, and it came together, finished up at the end of August. Turned out really good. Larry and Marty moved in the following week, and they've gotten right in there and made it their own. It's working out really good for them. It's bigger than they had. They also have the resource of having a maintenance shop there. We've got our cards there. We've got staff there to help them. So very happy with the decision to move them into the maintenance office, frees up real estate at both sites as well. So that project worked really well. For this year's budget, I had put in some, asked Warren to put in some funds to swap out our gas-powered equipment with battery-operated equipment. It took a little longer to get than I expected, but we've been using it about a month. It's only the small equipment, so push mowers, weed whackers, blowers, and so far so good. The grounds staff has been here for, one's been here for 30 years, so it's a little bit of change for him. I don't think he's used to, he's been used to this powerful equipment. It'll take some getting used to. It's nice for them because they can go about their day without really worrying about disturbing classes, and they can get stuff done. They don't have to carry gas cans around and stuff. I'm happy with it so far. I think they'll come around and like it a little bit more. Their only concern is the power in the winter months, but if it takes a little bit longer to clean up, I'm not really that worried about it. I think in the long run it'll be a good thing. So yeah, that's going good so far. And then every year we have fit inspections. A lot of you know what fit inspections are, but maybe some of the new board members don't. We call it fit inspections, but technically fit is basically facilities inspection tool is what it's called. We do it as part of the Williams case. It was a case against the school district not being equitable in how they kept their facilities up. So the school district can technically do this in-house. So we can have the maintenance guys go around, take a percentage of the school and inspect it, which to me is a bit odd. So we have a third party come out, and they inspect 100% of the school. We generally score pretty high. Last year we dipped down 1% or 2. But this year, we kind of made a point to get through that list and get things taken care of. So we are definitely up this year. CES, we're up almost 1.5%. We went from 97.19 to 98.58. At the junior high, we're up a little bit over 1%. We went from 97.22 to 98.26. And at the high school, we're up over 2.5% from 95.88 to 98.42. Palisades is at 97.5, and that's what it was last year. Just to give you perspective on Palisades, that one item will get you. There's only one deficiency there. It's not an extreme deficiency. But like this floor medallion here, there's 2 little caps that go over the electrical outlets. One of those is missing, so that knocked us down quite a bit because it's such a small area. I think it's pretty tough. As you know, when all these were built, it helped. When all the modernizations were done, it helped because everything was brand new. Our floors went out, but it's really getting harder to keep them up there. So I'm really happy with how well the staff have done to keep them up at the level they've been for a number of years. And then the last thing that I'm super excited about is we just finished the process of finding a firm to handle our bond program, basically program management and construction management services. We put the RFQ out in the summer. We got responses back. They were due in September. We got 8 responses, which was really good. I wasn't expecting that many. And initially when we went into it, we were thinking we could narrow them down to 2, maybe 3 at the most. And there was enough good responses that we ended up doing 5. We brought 5 firms in the interview just because their responses were so good. We really wanted to give them a chance and check it out, because just going through the paperwork is not always the easiest way to judge a firm's ability. And so we brought in 5. It was an entire day to interview them all. Went from about 8:30 to 3 o'clock. And we were fortunate enough that former board member Marty Hunt came in to be on that panel for interviewers. And with Maureen out, Andy Stubbs, the CBO from St. Helena, was nice enough to spend a whole day in there too. Which was good, because Marty, for those of you who don't know, he was on the board when we started this process back probably 2010, when this building was built, the gym was built, the modernizations were done at CDS. So it was good to have his perspective on, just what some of the questions they asked, and he actually, we had one question that he asked was so good at the first interview that we had to change our document to, because we make a questionnaire so that we're consistent with our questions to everybody. We don't want to ask different firms different questions. So, but we did find a firm that they were just so full of energy and really connected with us well. Their presentation almost answered all the questions that we had on the panel, where we didn't have to even ask them. And then one thing that I liked a lot was the reference checks. The reference checks, as the person doing it, theirs probably took the longest because everybody had so much good stuff to say about it. They worked closely with Napa Valley Unified throughout the years. Andy knew one of the girls that was part of that firm. They're in Fairfield, and a lot of the references we actually knew. So when Jenna left, we had an interim CEO, Steve Jorgensen, if those of you remember him. And he actually used them at Windsor, and I think he took them over to Cloverdale, or vice versa. So, yeah, we're extremely excited to get them on board and get these, setting the facility master plan in motion, really. It's going to be a lot of planning and stuff to get done, but it's nice to finally get that rolling. So, and then their agreement is later on in the evening, so hopefully the board approves. That's all I got. Anybody got any questions?
So the issues with the water that's in there, are they being resolved?
The leak that we had? Yeah, that was one of the biggest headaches so far of the year. We just haven't had a chance to, I didn't want to just put base rock back there and have it just be packed down dirt that's just going to get muddy. So I'm going to have Jesus and Kyle just put the brick back, buy a brick and put it back. They're not going to mortise it in there, but at least it'll be a safe walking path until we get in there and extend that repair. But it really seems like one thing after another. Every time I send them off to go get bricks, something comes up and we just haven't been able to wrap that up. fixed, and hopefully the city gives us a reimbursement, because it was quite a big water bill for that.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Sure.
You do such a great job.
Thanks, my staff is awesome, I really
No.
wouldn't be able to do it without them.
It takes a good leader.
Thank you.
I wonder if we can recruit Marty on because we got to start thinking about recruiting the oversight committee now. Right? He'd be a great oversight person. Get him a markup. Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yep. Is there anybody else from up here?
Vivian? I don't think so. Okay, and then next is Michael.
Okay, good evening. Looks like it's been a long time since I've seen you, so good to have us all back here. Start off with some information about our professional development, and Raul shared a little bit. I'll share just a little bit more with you. At our November 1st PD Day, we had Ann Childers return to us. She was our presenter at our October 11th PD Day. It was nice to have someone come back 2 days in a row and dig deeper into the same topic. And as a reminder, she's a trainer who focuses on the intersection between social emotional learning and academics. She works primarily for NWE MAP and their member districts. And her focus on us has been around increasing student agency and increasing student involvement. And in October, she worked with us on increasing student voice, including student voice in the classroom, in the school decisions and the district decisions. And then in this most recent November training, she trained each site separately, so she spent the morning at the elementary school and the afternoon at the junior senior high school. And the work was around including students in setting goals and reflecting on their own data. That could be mapped like academic performance data, or it could be other data. I think we have more data than we've ever had before as school districts, and we have better data than we ever have before. But there is a question of whose data is it, what do we do with it? And we know that the district does things with district data to make decisions. We know that school sites do. We know teachers definitely adjust their teaching practice based on data. What's the role of the student? Making sure that we put data in the hands of students so that they can reflect, they can set goals, and so that they really own their own data, and we help them increase their agency. And it's not just adults doing things for students, but students taking ownership over their own learning. So it's very exciting work. It puts the students in the driver's seat, at the center of their learning, and that's the end of our formal PD days for the year. And I'm excited now that we own this. What do we do with it as a district? We have the knowledge, we have the training. Where will we take it? So it's exciting work, and it's exciting next steps. Also in November, we trained our new staff to CES over the past 2 years in restorative practices. This is part of our ongoing effort to make sure all staff are trained in restorative practices, and this is important that we take on an initiative. We don't just do it and then kind of move away from it. We are fully committed to restorative practices. So we have all new staff training. The junior senior high school continues to engage in their trainings on restorative practices or listening circles, and it's a little bit of a reboot. The junior senior high school has lost some time, I think, over the last years with COVID, so we're making sure all staff are fully trained this year. And provide an update on COVID-19 from my perspective. COVID-19 is still with us in our community. As much as I think we'd like to go back to business as usual, that's not the case. We continue to have positive cases, which is a safety issue. We continue to monitor our practices and make sure they're up to date and that we're responsive to any changing conditions that we see. I'll say that the workload, just so you're aware, is from one positive case, the workload is extremely high as regard to follow-up steps. The burden that it puts on site administrators, their staff, district office staff, it's pretty intense. It's hard to put into words what happens when we have a single COVID case, the next steps that need to happen. I think both Nicole, Raul, and their teams are to be commended for their work, their dedication to this, making sure that this work is done right. We understand that it's a lot of work, and it's unfortunate that it takes away from some of the other things that we want to do with our time. But it's the important safety work that's become our charge. We're very fortunate to have hired our community liaison, family liaison, Monica Garibay. It's just great timing. She has been heavily involved in helping us follow-up on our COVID cases, communicating with families about next steps. So the timing of things being here this year is really, really good, and she's helped at both the elementary school and the secondary school. And then lastly on this, we hired a temporary health tech assistant to provide additional support. And since she started, I think about a week and a half ago, she's been very busy. So we put her to work. She works at both sites, and then she shifts from site to site if we have a higher need on a particular day. I anticipate she'll continue to be a real asset for us. Also anticipate we will bring a job description and salary schedule for a nurse or health technician position to you. We want to make sure we bring the right position. And it's kind of a little bit of a moving target, so we're continuing to have these conversations about what exactly is our need if we're going to fill this with an employee. Now, there's an expectation this year, a direct expectation from the CDE and the California Department of Public Health that we keep students in classrooms as much as possible, that we don't have significant losses in in-person instruction due to COVID. And to that end, our COVID-19 testing programs are up and running at both sites. This allows us to test students who are symptomatic or have close contact so that they can continue to stay in school. It's really a benefit to our students. It's a key strategy for us. Though again, we recognize this is a whole new system, right? It needs a whole new set of strategies to manage it. And again, commend our team for taking that out. And then lastly, I just want to share a concern that we've been discussing around graduation requirements. About 2 years ago, we brought forward a recommendation that we update our high school graduation requirements to match the entrance requirements for CSU and UC. At the time, we felt this was certainly the right thing to do. It was in line with other districts. It increases levels of access and equity for all our students. Though our conversation has revolved around the experience our students have had over the last 2 years, the adversity of the pandemic, the wildfires. The state of California has offered significant relief last year and this year, but we're starting to look towards next year. And we're starting to analyze the data, look at the progress our students are making, and want to make sure that we have an expectation that's realistic for our students, considering what they have faced. We are seeing a lot better student performance this year, I think, than last year, but this is an important piece for us to continue to monitor. And I do anticipate at some point coming back and giving updates on this. We determined that it's an unrealistic goal in the short term, and it needs to be pushed into the future. Then we'll come back and have that discussion. But I just wanted to make you aware that this is a conversation that we're having on behalf of our students. And that's my report for tonight.
I'm just curious, maybe I missed this. When somebody's testing positive for COVID and has symptoms, how long are they being out now?
Well, that hasn't changed. When someone tests COVID positive, regardless of whether they have symptoms, they need to be out for 10 days. And there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do something about is if they've had close contact with someone, the state now allows that person to stay in school if we test them twice a week. So I think to our students' benefit, we now have testing programs for students if they're asymptomatic, even if they have close contact, continue to be in school. You don't have to be at home, trying to study or some other format.
And are we testing kids more than once that have positive tests, or are we just relying on the fact that the first test they have is accurate?
Oh, that's a good question. In our conversations with the county health department, they've had a pretty, firm line on that issue, unless there's really, really unusual circumstances. If there are 2 tests, they're going to go with the positive. They've taken a very conservative approach to that. We've had some really odd circumstances around testing where they've made a different decision. I'd say 9 times out of 10, they will, the county department of health will ask us to defer to the positive case, even if there's a negative one in the city. Now, what I will say is how great is it for us in this small county to have such access to Napa County Public Health. In bigger counties, there are districts that just have to do their best to make these decisions. In reality, we're not public health trained, right? So the fact that we can pick up the phone and call the public health nurse and get guidance is really, it's very supportive stance from our county to help with this.
So the school nurse position, so that's kind of a moving target. Is that because of all the rules keep on changing of how we can apply this position? What's the...
I think on our end is making sure that we know what our need is. Is the need to have someone be involved in COVID testing? Is the need to have someone do phone calls to parents? Is the need to have someone physically present to help with the testing procedures? What do we anticipate this looking like in 6 months and a year? And it's talking about new positions is a really needs to be done really deliberately. We want to do it sooner than later, but we also want to make the right recommendation. Yeah, but I'm really glad that we were able to find some of the short term because the sites really need it.
Thank you, Michael, for everything. All right.
Thank you. Under LCAP goal number 1, our Palisade students were the first to participate in the Horns Canyon Outdoor Ed program last Friday. In partnership with the Napa County Resource Conservation District, Melissa Davis's students planted acorns on the property, what was impacted by the last fire. So Steve Rasmussen continues to be very excited about expanding that program through the course of this coming school year. And Jeremy Grove is soon meeting with the RCD staff to plan lessons for the junior high science and organic gardening courses so they can do some field studies on the Horns Canyon property this spring to support their classroom learning. And I heard that there's going to be an article published in the Calistoga Tribune soon to highlight the Palisades project. And on Friday, we were honored to have the SH Cowell Board of Directors and Cowell staff visit our district and also the Valley Family Center to learn more about the community and our school programs that they support. Just as a reminder to the board, the $170,000 two-year grant will fund all of the grade level partner teacher release days. It will fund our restorative practices training, the MAP software, the UC Davis MAP project for the high school math teachers, and the Parent Institute for Quality Education seminars. So they fund a lot in our district. It's very impactful. So they had previously given over $250,000 in the past 3 years as well. So a significant amount of money to improve conditions of learning and instruction. So I also want to publicly thank Audra Doherty, who happens to be here tonight. She agreed to let us video her first grade restorative circle to share with the Cowell board since with COVID protocols, we obviously couldn't take the entire group into her classroom. So Audra, thank you for that. Under LCAP goal number 2, the St. Helena Hospital Foundation has another COVID-19 vaccination clinic scheduled for this Friday from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. in the new gym. The immunizations are going to be available for ages 5 through 11, 12 plus, and then also booster shots will be available for those who need it. And I'm just repeatedly grateful to CEO Glenn Newhart. He has been a great community partner with us, having conducted several vaccination clinics on our campus. So it's convenient for parents. Monica Garby is going to be organizing an art table for Friday afternoon just to try to keep the kids occupied because, they're going to probably have to wait for the immunization and there might be some stress involved with that, obviously. And then once they get their injection, they have to wait, just like we all had to, for 15 minutes just to make sure that there's no side effects experienced. So she's very excited about planning some activities for the kids. Then Chief Salea has offered to split the cost of vape detectors for our senior high school bathrooms, and Chris has done a lot of research to determine which detectors to purchase. So I also met with Julie McClure, she's the Assistant Superintendent at the Napa County Office of Education, and she thinks that they also have some tobacco grant monies available, so that possibly could match the police department's contribution. So we may be able to get the detectors without any cost to the district. I'm appreciative as well of those two partnerships. Under LCAP goal number 3, Larry Black and I attended a meeting that was organized by the county and led by Diane Millen to address broadband service in each of the Napa Valley communities. There are significant monies now available from the government, and this initial meeting was just to have the organizations and school districts begin planning about how to best utilize that money. So the next step would be for the county to administer a survey to each of us who participated and then determine that specific need. And I really appreciate that Larry was at the meeting because He had excellent questions, and he is going to represent our district well as we go through that process.
I just want to say that this is a response to the Carroll Foundation. We're very excited to see the vending machine. I was a big kid, the staff of the started asking questions about how it works and how did you get one of them. So it was very interesting. So, we need to watch it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the good reports. And so now we move on to the consent agenda. So just a reminder that actions proposed for the consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless any member of the board, the audience, or staff requests a specific item to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. So with that, I will ask, is there anybody any questions on the consent agenda? Okay. Am I looking for a motion to approve?
So moved.
And all in favor?
I vote yes.
As roll call vote, so President Elderson, aye. Clerk Lopez Jones, abstain. Trustee Maxfield? Aye. Trustee Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Rutherford Allen?
Aye.
And Student Representative Williams? And then that brings us to action items. So also a reminder, protocol for action items includes staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During public input, there will be a 3-minute limit per person. So we start off with 10.2, which is an MOU with Cal State Associated Teachers regarding independent study. I think Michael will give us a brief overview of that.
Sure. With students being out of school, more students being out of school due to COVID-19, quarantine symptoms, etc., there's a recognizable increased workload on our teaching staff. And this MOU defines the additional compensation offered to our CAP members when impacted by these quarantines and the need for increased independent study contracts.
All right, and I'm looking for a motion to go ahead and approve the MOU with CAP.
Second?
All in favor? Okay, and that brings us to 8.3, memorandum of understanding with Cal State Associated Teachers regarding supplemental paid sick leave.
Yeah, unfortunately, the state of California did not continue their COVID sick leave as of September, the end of September. We have made an agreement with Cal State Associated Teachers to extend the remaining balance from the state's original 10 days of supplemental sick leave for COVID reasons. We've extended that by agreement through the end of December.
Questions? So I'm looking for a motion to go ahead and approve the MOU with the CAP regarding supplemental paid sick leave.
Second.
I'm going to take it into that. All in favor?
Aye.
And then 10.4, MOU with California School Employees CSEA regarding supplemental paid leave.
Yeah, this is the same exact agreement as in 10.3, except for California School Employees Association members. And it's, I think it's a good thing we have agreements with both associations as a matter of equity.
Great. Looking for a motion to approve the MOU.
Second?
Great. All in favor? Aye. And then 10.5, MOU with Alliant International University.
Yeah, this is an agreement which allows us to have student teachers, school psychologists, interns, and just other staff who are on intern-type agreements from Alliant University, International University. We've not worked with them before. We do have a prospective candidate who might be placed with us. The first step is to have an agreement with them, and this is the agreement for that.
No questions? I'm looking for a motion to approve the MOU with Alliant University.
So moved.
You guys are quick. All right, all in favor? Aye. And then 10.6, agreement with Van Pelt Construction Services.
is the agreement that Chris spoke to in his report. I just want to commend Chris for the amount of work and time that he put into the selection process, everything from setting out the RFQ to coming up with questions for the interview to helping conduct the interviews and a lot of reference calls. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. So looking for a motion to approve the MOU with Ben Peltz.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. And then 10.7, agreement with California Highway Patrol.
Your 15 Minutes program, I think you're probably familiar with, but it's sponsored by the California Highway Patrol, so this agreement just is a partnership between us and the CHP. Officer Sam, our SRO, is going to be the person who's organizing the program this year, and it's slated to be held in April.
So just looking for a motion to approve every 15 minutes agreement with the CHP. Yeah? Oh, here.
Second.
And all in favor? Aye.
Good program.
And then the agreement with Casilla? Is it another? Casilla?
This is an agreement to purchase an antivirus software, endpoint protection, remote computer access, and just some context for this. You know, we've purchased services like this over the years from Napa Valley Networks, from Mid-Valley Support. This is a direction to where, with Larry Black kind of spearheading some of our efforts around network issues, to purchase this product directly from the provider so that we can stand on our own 2 feet versus working through an intermediary.
Great, so we're looking for a motion to approve the agreement with Casilla. And all in favor? Aye. And then 10.9, agreement with the National Student Clearinghouse. This certainly, do you want me to read it? I can read it. So this agreement is allowing our district to have access to post-graduation outcomes for all students enrolling in post-secondary educational institutions. So this service will take place at one of the features that we currently use on Naviance account, but at a much lower cost. So it's a great way to track what's happening with them after they leave us. So if anybody has any questions. Okay, then looking for a motion to approve National Student Clearinghouse.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. And then 1010 is board policies and administrative regulations. So these policies are typically updated to reflect the most current laws and regulations and district practices. And these are what we reviewed at the last meeting.
Yeah, there were no revisions made since the last meeting.
Perfect. So let's looking for a motion to approve the new board policies.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Excellent. And then that brings us to closing items. Next board meeting is Monday, December 13th, 5 p.m. for closed session, 6 p.m. for open session. And then tentative future agenda items are annual organizational meetings. I also think it might be nice to have Monica come in and let us highlight her and all that she's done for the and then we have no need to reconvene in closed session. And so I'm looking for Jeff's favorite motion.
I make a motion